Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to continue with our deep dive review of Thelma and Louise from 1991. Yes, that's my chick flick destruction right now, and I'm going to destroy it. Okay, I'm going to break this movie apart. All right. Now, obviously, if you saw the thumbnail, I have never seen this movie before. I have never seen it before. Sorry. Not my cup of tea. Another kind of movie I would want to watch. I heard about the movie obviously from girlfriends and cousins and shit and aunts and uncles. I heard about the movie. I understand its cultural impact. I know it was nominated for Academy Awards. Doing this review, I found out that it was directed by Ridley Scott, who is a director I very much respect. I like a lot of his movies, so I had no idea for sure what would possess a guy like that to make a chick flick. But now that I'm watching the movie, I can kind of see it. I was like, okay, he's bringing a seriousness to this. I mean, there's a little bit of levity, but not too much. He's bringing a level of seriousness to this. Okay, these are basically, it's basically a version of this movie called Badlands. Okay, it's about like going on a spree killing. Kind of like what they did excuse me, with Oliver Stone did with Natural Born Killers. It's that kind of thing. The Charles Starkweather story, the Badlands. Excuse me again. That was Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek. They go on a killing spree basically. And that's what happens to these women. Now, I'm only a little bit over halfway done with the movie yet, so I've not finished the movie, so please don't spoil it for me, okay? But I have watched enough of it to start reviewing what I've seen, okay? And obviously, I don't know for sure how it's going to end yet, although I have a pretty good idea just based on trailers that I've seen in commercials and what the girls have talked about. I've seen the women on interviews, Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon talking about, the making of the movie and how it offended a lot of people and stuff. Like, well, so far, I'm not any more offended by it than I would be any regular movie in Hollywood right now. It's all the same shit, make fun of men. Straight white men are all bad guys. If you're gonna be a good guy, you gotta be gay or not white or not a man. So it's like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, I'm used to this by now. This is what they give us all the time. So okay. So anyway, so far I enjoy the movie. I'm not. I'm really trying to. I'm trying to invest myself in these characters. Okay, where we left off last time, Thelma and Louise. They went on They're on a vacation. They're going to go to some fishing cabin, where the fuck that is. Okay, but obviously they never make it there. They get to a bar, a big country western bar. They stop at on the way over there. Thelma, who's an unhappy housewife, and by housewife, I don't really know what she does. She doesn't work. She obviously didn't go to school. She has no kids. Her husband works, but their house, their little modest house, looks like a shithole. So I don't know what she does all day, but she's there. Okay, she never gets to go out. Her husband's very dominating, very controlling, so he doesn't let her go out. But somehow she has a best friend named Louise, who's a waitress at this diner, and she has a boyfriend who's a traveling musician, not very successful, I take it, but his name's Jimmy. So these two girls decide that they're going to go on a little vacation. They stop at this truck stop. Thelma does not ask her husband for permission to go. She was going to, but he was being asked that morning, so she just left him a note. So she ran off with Louise to go to go out. They stop at this country western bar, and there's no other way to put it. Thelma gets raped. Okay, they meet some guy named Harlan who describes himself as a funny hunk. And he's a good dancer, and he fucking slips a roofie in her fucking drink. We don't see it happen, but that's what I think happened. All right. And so Thelma is now getting dizzy and shit, so she decides to go outside with this guy in the parking lot. And there he rapes her. Now, it makes it look like he didn't rape her, like he was about to, but I think he actually did rape her. Okay, he just didn't finish, if you know what I mean. Okay. In the middle of this rape, Louise comes by with a gun. Because Thelma did bring a gun with her on this trip, and puts a gun at the rapist's head, and threatens to kill him. He gives her some attitude, and so she blows him away. I don't think it was very believable that this would happen this way. And the only reason I say that is because there would have been. This is a busy Friday night. I mean, the club is jam packed. There's got to be hundreds of people in there. Okay, someone would have seen something. that parking lot would not have been deserted. Okay, there would have been people in the cars, people pulling in, people walking towards their cars, people pulling out. There would have been people smoking weed in their cars. There would have been people having sex in their cars. And even if they didn't hear Thelma screaming for help, like she was, or heard him yelling at her, hitting her, and stuff like that, they would have heard the gunshot, or they would have heard Louise blow him away. Okay, so yeah, that's not very believable. But anyway, so they decide to flee the crime scene. They do not go to the cops. They say, Louise tells her, no one's going to believe you. Everyone saw you dancing and drinking with this guy. No one's going to believe you. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So that happens. They hide out in a hotel room. Okay. And they decide that they're going to fucking flee the country. All right. So that's where we are right now. Okay. So they're leaving the crime scene now. They're driving away. Like I said, Louise tells everyone no one's going to believe them if they go to the cops about it. It was a rape. It was self-defense. It was a rape. Okay, Louise throws up. She pulls over and she throws up. She's in shock by what she did. She just murdered a man. She's staring at the gun. Thelma's the one driving. She's got blood. Thelma's got blood on her face from when the guy punched her. So far in this movie, we've met two men. We've met her husband, Daryl, who's a chauvinistic asshole, domineering piece of shit. Okay, who treats his wife like crap. Okay, he's also an idiot. And we've met this guy Harlan, the funny hunk who's a rapist, but he is a good dancer, so give him credit for that, right? All right, but he's dead now, so he doesn't matter. All right, so the girls decide to go to a diner. Okay, they're fleeing the crime scene. Louise is chain smoking like crazy. Obviously, her nerves are up. Thelma's wiping blood off of her face. Okay, Louise blames Thelma, actually. She blames Thelma for this whole situation. Even though Thelma is the rape victim here, she blames Thelma for getting Louise to pull over and go to that bar in the first place. Remember, Louise did not want to go to that bar. She wanted to go straight to the the fishing cabin. But Thelma was the one that made her stop because she wanted to have fun, drink, and dance, and, have guys oogle her, let her hair down, as she says. Okay? So she blames Thelma for this. Thelma calls home to call her husband, but nobody's there, which is kind of odd, but it's not really odd. She did have an argument with her husband that morning about how he needs to stay. He's always staying late on Friday nights. Like, you're a carpet salesman. How many people buy carpets late on Friday night? He's like, well, you ain't the regional manager. That kind of thing, And yes, he said it that way. Okay. So obviously he's not home. So she realized that her husband's probably boinking someone else. He's doing stuff without her, Now we're introduced to Hal. Okay, now Hal is a detective in Arkansas. Okay, he's a cop. Okay, he's the one that's investigating this murder. Okay, the murder of Harlan. All right. So he represents the detective that's on the case. He's basically the Tommy Lee Jones character from The Fugitive. Even though that movie's not going to come out for another 3 years. Oh shit, dude, I'm dating myself. My God. I keep thinking that this movie ripped off The Fugitive, but actually, no, this came out before The Fugitive movie came out. Oh, well. But anyway, The Fugitive TV show was out in the 60s, so yeah, it was the same thing. Anyway, so this is going to be the cop that's going to be on their trail throughout the whole movie, okay? His name is Hal. I forgot his last name, but Harvey Keitel plays him. He's a great actor. I love Harvey Keitel. He's awesome. Okay, he's questioning the waitress that was serving the girls' drinks at the bar, and she says, like, there's no way these girls could, of course, she's drunk herself, okay, while she's being questioned. And she said, there's no way these girls could have done it. They didn't look like killers to me, blah, 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 But she identified Harlan because she knew who he was. He's always hitting all the girls at the club all the time. He's very well known for doing that, okay? But she's basically saying, I know these girls did it that we saw that were in the club. I know they're the ones that killed them, but I don't really think they would have done it. So I'm going to say that they didn't do it because I like these girls. Okay, girl power. That's basically how I took it. But the girl was drunk, so who knows what the fuck she's saying. All right. She does say that these women are not the type that would kill a guy. Well, what type of women do look like they would kill a guy? All right. But she does give him somewhat of a description. She describes her car, what the girls look like. They both have red hair, that kind of thing. One's 44. Well, one's in her 40s, the other one's in her 30s. All right. Louise can't reach her boyfriend, Jimmy. She tries to call him from a payphone. This is before cell phones. Okay. So she can't reach her boyfriend either. Okay. Louise does find in the bathroom, she does find a drop of blood on her face. So she freaks out, wipes it off and freaks out. It's their metaphor of Louise has blood on her hands. She did murder somebody. Okay. Yes, it was self-defense. It was kind of justified, but it didn't have to happen. Okay, she didn't shoot him because he was raping Thelma. Okay, she shot him because he disrespected her. Okay, they were walking away. The situation was over. They could have gone straight to the cops. Okay, but instead of that, he called her a bitch, which made her turn around and point the gun back at him. Okay, and then he told her to suck his dick, and that's the reason she blew him away. Her pride. Okay, he hurt her pride, and for that, fucking he needs to die. Okay, hey, we've all done stupid things like that. You know, I know I've gotten into fights over pride, but I've never shot anybody over it. Okay, so I'm sure there was some other stuff going on in her head. Okay, like it maybe brought up some bad memories or some shit. I don't know. Okay, so she's flipping out about that. Okay, okay, so they're back on the highway. They're driving around. They're trying to catch how much money. She's like, "Hey, how much money do you have, Thelma?" And she pulls. She's still in shock. Thelma's still in shock. She pulls out $60 in her hand, and then a $20 flies away while they're driving. So she's like, make that $40." So they have to get a hotel room. Okay. Louise is very nervous. Okay, obviously, you know, she just killed somebody and she's still in shock. Okay, so they arrive. They get a hotel. They end up getting a motel. All right. Louise is like, you know, I'm not ready to go to jail yet, okay? That's why she's telling Thelma why they're not going to go to the cops. I'm not ready to go to jail yet. Okay. She tells Thelma to go swimming, and she's like, I'll figure this out. I'll figure it all out. All right. So she gets a hold of Jimmy on her phone. Okay, she calls Jimmy on the phone payphone. He does answer the phone this time. It's Michael Madsen. You remember him. He's been in a lot of Tarantino movies. He's not doing too much right now, but some of his notable work is he was in Species, that movie with Natasha Kinski, you know, that came out in the 90s with Ben Kingsley, the alien, you know, thing. He was also obviously in Reservoir Dogs, the Quentin Tarantino movie. He played Mr. Blonde. That's the one where everyone remembers him from. He was also in Kill Bill. He played Bill's brother. And he's done a lot of shit, okay? But the one everyone remembers him from, it was definitely from Reservoir Dogs. He was Mr. Blonde, the psychopath that tortures that cop, cuts off his ear, yeah. Okay, so he's there. His name is Jimmy. Okay, and he answers the phone. He starts a conversation with her. Okay, she tells Jimmy, "Where are you at, Louise?" You know, she's like, "I'm in deep shit, Arkansas." And she's like, "I need my $6,700 that I have in the bank. I need you to wire it to me, okay, out of my bank account." And she's like, "Something bad happened, and I cannot tell you about it, okay, but I need you to help me." He's like, "Oh, good." She's like, "Jimmy, do you love me?" And he's like, yeah, sure, yeah, I love you, sure. And then she's like, "Never mind, just wire me the money." So obviously, for a second there, it looks like maybe she's already made the decision that she's gonna have to split, fucking leave the country, go hide somewhere where they're never gonna find her, which means breaking up with her boyfriend. But she does have one moment of like, oh shit, who else is gonna give me my money? My boyfriend. I can't go to the bank myself, you know. And she'll maybe is my boyfriend even worth it? Is he worth staying in the States for? Is he worth, you know, hiding out for? And then when he stammers answering the question, she realizes that he's not. Okay, this is not the guy, which tells me that she realizes that she doesn't love this guy. Okay, not the way that she wants to love him, or he should be loved or whatever. I know we don't know anything about him yet, but you know, she doesn't really have feelings for him. She's trying to grasp at a reason to stay. And she really has no reasons to stay. Okay, I don't know how old Louise is, but I do know that Susan Sarandon was 44 when she played this role, and the character of Louise is a waitress. She has no kids. I don't know if she's ever been married or not, but she has no kids. She has no husband. Okay, she has a waitress job. She's got $6,700 in the bank, and she's got a badass '66 Thunderbird. Okay. Now this movie, when I Wikipedia it, it's supposed to take place in the '60s or '70s. But now that I'm watching it, a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing started happening like in the '80s. So I'm not really sure when this time period is for this movie. But Louise doesn't really have much going on for her. So I think probably the last straw that she had was, what about my boyfriend? Is he worth staying for? You know, do I love him? Does he love me? And it's pretty obvious that he doesn't really love her that way, you know, as the way that she wants to be loved. And she doesn't love him the way that he needs to be loved either. Okay, so she's like, oh, fuck it. Just bring me the money. So she's already decided she's going to get rid of this guy. Okay, he's not worth staying for. Okay, not worth risking her freedom over. Okay. So that's going on here. Okay. By the way, him stammering like that, like not being 100% committed to saying yes right away when she asked him, "Do you love me?" That was very believable. Okay, it was. Okay. So Luis realized that her relationship is bullshit. Okay. He does agree to send her the money. He's going to wire her the money. Okay. When they get to Oklahoma. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Louise grabs a Thelma from the swimming pool. She's sunbathing in her bikini. Okay, because that's what you do right after you fucking kill somebody. Okay, and of course, Louise grabs her from the fucking from the thing there and tells her to get in the fucking car right now. We got to go. So of course, Thelma does not have time to put her clothes on. She just gets in the car in her bikini. Okay, and they hightail it out of there. They get the fuck out of there fast. Okay. Meanwhile, Hal thinks the girl, Hal, that's the cop, Harvey Keitel, that's tracking down these girls. He thinks the girls may have left the state. He's talking to his supervisor. I don't remember his name, but you've seen him before. He's a character actor in a lot of movies. And he says that I think it's possible that the girls may have already left Arkansas, that they're on the road. And if that's the case, then we have the right to bring in the FBI. So that's what they decide to do. Okay. Meanwhile, Louise tells Thelma her plan, okay, is to go to Mexico. She's gonna fucking get out of the country. That's her plan, okay? And Louise is like, are you with me on this? And Thelma's like, I don't know, Louise. And Louise's like, don't fuck out on me! Don't you dare flake on me! This is some serious shit we're in, Thelma. Everything has changed now. And I'm going to Mexico. Okay. So she's serious, okay? She's fucking dead set serious. Okay, we gotta get the fuck out of the country. She's assuming they already know it's them, which is a good assumption, okay? So they end up going to another truck stop later on, okay? And Louise calls Jimmy. Okay, she calls her boyfriend again. Okay, he has her money. He took the money out of her account, the $6,700. Okay, and he tells her to go to a motel in Oklahoma where he's going to wire her the money. He's going to Western Union it for her, okay? And the code word to use when she gets there is peaches. Okay. Meanwhile, Thelma buys a lot of small whiskeys, those hotel-sized whiskeys from the fucking the gas station there, okay? The gas station attendant tries, hey, instead of buying all these little ones, why don't you just buy this big bottle right here? You know, she's like, no, I just want the little ones, okay? So he tells her to go to the motel, okay? So Louise tells Thelma, okay, I talked to Jimmy, now you need to call your husband Daryl, okay? And find out what he knows, all right? And tell him that she'll be back soon, kind of like you know, so he doesn't suspect anything, all right? She does call Daryl. Daryl does answer the phone. He was in the middle of watching a football game. He doesn't give a shit that his wife's gone. I don't think he read the note that she left him. Okay, next to the beer in front of the microwave. Okay, and Daryl's like, he's mad at her for leaving. Okay, he's trying to watch a football game while she's talking. Okay, so his attention is divided. You know, he's like, you know, what? Yeah, you know, like that. You know, just being a fucking asshole. Of course he is. Okay, and Daryl's like, you better get your butt back here, Thelma. God damn it, or else. Thelma's like, Daryl, go fuck yourself. And I'm pretty sure all the women in the audience were like, yeah, absolutely. Okay, and I'm not going to defend him, okay? I am not going to defend him. He's an asshole. He is. Why would she marry a guy like this? Okay, Thelma's an attractive woman. All right, now Gina Davis was 35 when she did this movie. Okay, she's very attractive. Okay, a woman like her would not have a problem getting a different guy. Okay, she wouldn't have much of a problem getting a guy that actually treated her really nice to fall in love with her and marry her. Okay, she's got no attachments to her husband. She's got no kids with him. Okay, what the fuck, you know? It's like there's nothing really holding her to him. Okay, so why is she with him? It's not very believable that a girl as strong-willed as Thelma is, she's not a pussy pushover. They say that she is, and Louise says that she is, but what we've seen her do, she is not that at all. Okay, she'll argue with Louise to do what she wants to fucking do. Okay, and I can only assume that she would be that way with her husband as well. Okay, her husband, even though he dominates her, he acts like an asshole and a big shot in front of her. She can see through that. She doesn't really believe that he is those things. Okay, so she's not really intimidated by him. So I don't understand why she feels she has to stay with him. I don't get that at all. All right. Realistically, I do not think this would happen. I do not think a strong-willed woman like Thelma, a woman who likes to get drunk, party, let her hair down, be a bad girl, is the kind that's going to put up with a chauvinistic, controlling, piece of shit asshole husband like him. Okay? I don't think it would happen in real life. Okay? But who knows? Who the fuck knows? All right. That's just my opinion. Okay, so anyway, so she tells her husband to fuck off. All right? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, so like I said, why is she married to him? It makes no fucking sense. All right, Thelma bumps into Brad Pitt on the way away from the payphone. He's sitting on the floor there. He's got his cowboy hat on, his jeans. He's just sitting there, and it turns out that he's hitchhiking. Okay, he's hitchhiking. He's panhandling, asking people for money and asking people for rides. But he's very polite. He's very polite. Okay. He flirts with her a little bit there, and Thelma checks herself. When Thelma gets back in the car, she looks at herself in the mirror to make sure she looks pretty before she looks back at Brad Pitt. Okay, he approaches her and asks her very politely, "Hey, you going the same way? I'm going this way. You going that way? I figure we both going the same way. You mind if I get a ride?" And Thelma's like, "Well, it's not my car. I got to ask my friend. It's her car. I got to ask her first, but I don't think it should be a problem." That kind of thing, And basically, she's attracted to him, okay? He's coming across as charming and very sweet, very polite, and he's also using reverse psychology, okay? He's going like, "Hey, if you can't, it's no mess, no problem. I'll get where I'm going on my own. I don't mean to bother you. It's fine. If you don't want to give me a ride, that's fine. I'll be just fine. Thank you very much, for your time, that kind of thing, using reverse psychology." Now, honestly, I would think that someone like Thelma would realize that, and she would find it not that it's working on her, that he's manipulating her, but see it as, oh, it's charming. He's trying to manipulate me, and I see it. And he's doing that because he wants me to like him. He wants me to give him a ride. That's how I would think it, But no, it's actually the former. Okay, Thelma's falling for this hook, line, and sinker. She really does think that this guy is being genuine and polite and is a good stand-up guy, despite the fact that he's fucking, standing on the side of the highway, waiting for somebody to give him a ride. He's got no fucking money, and he's fucking playing his harmonica, okay? Now, something about that just seems a little bit shady to me, okay? But not to Thelma. She doesn't see that, okay? All right. Yeah, right. Okay. So that's going on. Thelma says she's got to have, she's got to ask her friend, but it can't hurt, Now, here's something that I realized during this scene. Okay, Thelma's very concerned about whether Brad Pitt finds her attractive. Okay, so obviously she's horny. Okay, she's more concerned with this right now. Okay, now this is the same woman who just got raped yesterday. Okay, and just watched her rapist get shot in the fucking chest in cold blood by her best friend with the gun that she brought. But none of that matters right now. What matters is, does that cute boy like me? How do I look? Come on. Ladies, just suspend your disbelief for just maybe 30 seconds. If you were just involved, if you had just been raped and then involved in a homicide, would your next thought, less than 24 hours later, would your thought be, does this boy think I'm cute? Does he like me? Do you really think that would be on your thought? I think that if it was me, I'd probably be trying to figure out how to get the fuck out of the country, since I didn't turn myself in. I would probably try to figure out how not to get caught. That would be the foremost on my mind, not picking up fucking cute hitchhikers, okay? Who can identify me, all right? Unless you're planning on killing him too. This guy will identify you. Yeah, there's two of them. They both had red hair. Yeah, one was taller, one was named Louise, the other one was named Thelma. They had a 66 green Thunderbird they were driving. That kind of, you see what I mean? Yeah, it's probably not a shady guy like this, okay? This is a guy that they found on the fucking highway, okay? You know what else you find on the highway? Roadkill, okay? So yeah, it just doesn't ring true to me. Sorry. Okay. Louise shows up. She refuses to go back. She refuses to give the guy a ride. Okay, and then she backs the car out. Okay, she backs the car out really fast. Like she speeds out of there. She wants to get the fuck away from that gas station. All right. Um, gas. Okay. Thelma's upset. Okay, that Brad Pitt is not coming with them. Thelma starts telling her, "Oh man, we should have taken him with us. He was so nice, he was so polite." Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay, so she's upset that Brad Pitt's not coming with them on this road trip. Okay, and she also does mention, and this is the important thing, that Brad Pitt has a better butt than her husband Daryl. Okay, yeah, Daryl doesn't have an ass. But Brad Pitt has an ass, okay? That's the important thing here, okay? Better butt than her husband, okay? She's like, you could park a car in the shadow of his ass. You could bounce a quarter off that butt. You got an ass like a frog that's watertight. Oh, yes, the butt jokes, man. Oh, not the joke. Yeah, the butt stuff, man. Hey, let me tell you something, okay? Just on a side note, okay? I was around during this time, okay? I never saw this movie, but I was watching Married with Children back then. I was watching, I was watching other movies. I was watching TV shows and shit. Let me tell you something. For those of you who don't know, okay, who weren't around back then, okay? Those of you my age do know this, all right? There was a fascination with butts. Now, maybe it's always been there, but it really took off in the 80s. I think, and the men that led that charge were like Patrick Swayze and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, they had fucking in their contract that they had to show their butt in a movie, okay? Hey, I'm sure the women were not complaining, okay? Or the gay guys, all right? But it became a thing where like actors, Hollywood men started showing their asses. Their butts in movies became like a thing, okay? Like in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s, okay? Like Schwarzenegger showed off his ass in Terminator. Okay, I know I sound like a fucking creep pointing this shit out, but hey, these were guy movies where guys were doing this, all right? Van Damme was doing it. Even Stallone was showing his ass off in all of his movies around this time, okay? Rocky V, Tango and Cash, he was showing off his ass, all right? And so was Van Damme was probably the big, but Patrick Swayze was doing it too. Everybody was doing it except for fucking Kevin Costner. You got a body double to portray his ass in Robin Hood, but he's the exception. Okay, everybody was doing it. Okay, everybody. Okay, and there was a lot of that. Like in high school, I was in high school at this time. Girls were always talking about guys' butts. Guys' butts. That's like the big thing. Guys' butts. What does your ass look like? And like, it's weird because like. It's still around nowadays, but it's not like nearly as obsessive as it used to be, okay? But I remember just being a teenager around this time and like girls were always talking about guys' ass. They weren't talking about his chest, they weren't talking about his shoulders or his face or his cock, okay? I mean, they did, but what they were mostly talking about was his ass. What does his ass look like? Girls were like grading each other's boyfriends based on their ass, It's like you had to have been there. I mean, you ladies out there, you know what the fuck I'm talking about because you were doing it, okay? But this was around that time, okay, where you could not watch a chick flick without a girl talking about a guy's ass. All right, and I'm talking. The women were the ones talking about it, the way Al Pacino did in Heat. She's got a great ass. Yeah, like that. Girls were always talking about grabbing their butt. And shit during sex, they'd be grabbing the fucking cheeks and grabbing them while the guy's pumping away. Yeah, that was like, well, it's always been a thing, but they were really like focusing on that. That was actually one of the major plot developments in movies back then in the 80s and 90s. It really was. I don't know why. I didn't fucking make up this shit. I just noticed it. So I'm telling you about it for those of you Zoomers out there that didn't realize that America was obsessed with men's asses back in the 80s and 90s. Because they were. They were. All right. Okay. All right. Got that out of the way. And this actually fell into that timeline. Okay. So that's going on here. So we find out that Brad Pitt has a better ass than her husband. He's got no ass, but Brad Pitt's got the ass. All right. So it's big difference. Okay. So now, so far in the movie, we have met 3 men. Oh, 4 men. Sorry, we've met 4 men in this movie. We've met her piece of shit, chauvinistic, sexist, domineering husband. That's one. We met the fucking the funny hunk rapist who date rapes girls too. That's 2. We've met the serious, no nonsense, but likable cop that's on the trail of these women, who's trying to catch these women that kill this guy. That's 3. And then we met Brad Pitt, who's like this fucking charming, good-looking drifter. Seems a little bit shady, you know? How come he's got no money? How come he's asking people for rides? You know, there's something shady about that, you know? I wouldn't just trust a guy like that. Oh, well. So these are the men that we've met so far in this movie, okay? Moving right along, Louise and Thelma, they get into an argument. They get into an argument over finding a way to get to Mexico from Oklahoma without going through Texas. Well, geographically, there's really not very many ways you can do that. The fastest way to Mexico would be through Texas, okay? If you're already in Oklahoma, you can go around, Louisiana and Alabama, okay? But I mean, how else are you going to get to fucking Mexico? You got to go through Texas, the fastest way there, okay? But for some reason, Louise does not want to go through Texas. She does not, absolutely does not, and she tasks Thelma to find a way to get them to Mexico without going through Texas, all right? And Thelma's like, well, why don't you tell me why you can't go through Texas? Well, I thought this was your best friend, Thelma. I thought you and Louise were like sisters. How come you didn't know that she's allergic to Texas? Okay, that she doesn't want to set foot in that state. Why? Why didn't you know that about her already? Okay, you know? And Louise says something. Now, maybe I misheard this, okay, but the way I took it was Louise says, you shoot a man in the head with his pants down. Texas ain't the place you want to get caught. Now, the rapist, Harlan, she didn't shoot him in the head. She shot him in the chest. And his pants weren't down. He had pulled his pants up. He hadn't buckled his belt yet, but they were up. He had pulled them up. All right? So this tells me that she actually murdered a man before that Thelma did not know about. And it happened in Texas. And they're probably looking for her in Texas. That's my best guess, okay? And if that's the case, what the fuck kind of... First of all, Thelma, what the fuck kind of friend do you have here that you don't know this? I thought you were best friends. And Louise, what the fuck kind of woman are you? That you just kill guys and leave? Like, whoa. I thought you were just like an ordinary waitress, you know? And you're not. Now, I got to point out something here, okay? I am complaining a lot about the way men are being portrayed, okay? And validly so, okay? My points are legitimate. But I do have to say that, I mean, these women here, Thelma and Louise, they're not very smart, okay? They're not very intelligent, okay? They're making a lot of stupid decisions, okay? That, you know, just a normal person with common sense wouldn't do, okay? They're not very smart. If they had been smart, they would have turned themselves in right after they shot the guy. They would have stayed there, waited for the cops, given a statement, you know, yes. Someone might have gotten some jail time or something, but it would have been self-defense, you know, and none of this shit would have happened. Instead, they're making it worse, okay? They're trying to flee, okay? And despite the fact they're trying to flee, they're still calling home, which you don't do. It's just like, okay, now she's trying to get to Mexico. You think the cops can't catch you in Mexico? Of course they can. Of course they can. You know, anybody there will give you up, all right? For fucking $5, they'll give you up to the feds. All right, so no, they're not going to find sanctuary, okay? They're going to stick out in Mexico. They're not going to blend in Mexico, okay? Just like they wouldn't blend in Canada, all right? So no, a lot of their decisions they're making are not very something that an intelligent woman would come up with. Not at all. These women don't come across as very intelligent. They don't. I mean, they're thinking about fucking getting laid when they should be thinking about not getting arrested, not getting caught, okay? So it's like, no. Okay, so Okay, so she tells her that shit, which makes you think, okay, we the audience don't really understand Louise the way that we thought we did. This ain't the first guy she's killed. Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But that's the way I took it. I don't think she was describing the person she just killed yesterday. I think she's describing someone she killed in her past in the state of Texas. Okay, and that's why she doesn't want to go back, because she's a suspect. All right. Meanwhile, then we go back and forth between Hal, the cop, and the girls. Okay, Hal uses his card to break into Louise's apartment. Okay, she's not there, but he already knows that she was involved somehow. He gets in there. He looks around. He sees a picture of Louise when she was a little girl and in band, you know. So that's going on. Hal goes to Louise's diner, her place where she works, and starts questioning like people that she works with there, the manager and all that kind of stuff. Okay, he does get around to meeting Daryl, Thelma's husband. Okay, and he asks her questions about Thelma and Louise. He tells them that they've been involved in a murder, and that he's and Daryl is so shocked when he hears this, like what? That he actually steps on his pizza, and Hal has to point that out to him. Okay, so yeah, that was kind of a little bit of levity there. Okay, but yeah. So that's going on from the cops' point of view. From the girls' point of view, the girls are fucking on their road trip still. Okay, they're dinging. There's actually a little musical number here where they're singing to "The Way You Do the Things You Do" by the Temptations from the 1960s. You know, and they're singing along to that song. Okay, while they're driving down the dirt roads to the highway in fucking butt-fucked Egypt in the desert somewhere. Okay. So they're singing that. The way you do the things you do, you gotta smile so bright. You know, you could have been a condo. You know, that kind of shit, yeah. So this crop duster flies his plane right by them, so they fucking wave at each other and stuff. Okay, so it's good scenery-wise. It's very good, very well shot. Okay, and they fly next to them, you know. Okay, Thelma whimpers like a fucking dog. She's like, she does that when she sees Brad Pitt fucking on the side of the road, hitchhiking. Okay. And you know, which means that Thelma's horny. She's happy to see Brad Pitt again. She wants to fuck him. It's obvious, and it's obvious to Louise too. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you still murdered somebody yesterday. You're still like wanted for questioning. The cops are still looking for you. And you want to pull over and get laid with a shady guy who can identify you. Oh well. Did I mention that these women don't come across as very smart? Okay. All right. So Thelma talks to Brad Pitt. He's sitting in the back. All right. That she has no kids. And Brad Pitt says like, whoa, you got no kids? I find that hard to believe, you know, with everything that you got, don't you want to naturally want to pass it on? You know, that kind of thing, you know. And she tells her that her husband, you know, he doesn't fucking believe in having kids because he's proud of being immature and acting like a kid himself. And of course, Louise is like, yeah, you know. So because of that, because he himself is immature, he doesn't want to fucking have immature kids. Okay, and there's more to this conversation, which I will continue in the next part of this review. Thank you for watching this long, and I will see you soon on the next one. Bye.